To the loan officer sales training with the mortgage calculator. We'll get started here in just a moment. Today, we're going to be talking about how to use events to close more loans. We've talked about events on some of the previous sales trainings, but we're going to approach it a little bit differently here today. So hang tight here while we go on live on all the different platforms, and then we will go ahead and get it started. Go ahead and drop a comment there in the chat as you tune in. We appreciate the comments. You can also drop questions if you have them along the way in the comments, and we definitely appreciate it. So with that being said, it looks like we are live on all the different platforms, so we can go ahead and get started. So welcome everyone. My name is Kyle Hershey. I am the COO of the Mortgage Calculator, and this is our loan officer sales training that we do every weekday at 12 p.m. Eastern, where we go through more of the front end of making sales and leads and all that kind of good stuff here in the mortgage business. So today we're going to be talking about how to use events to close more loans. Now, obviously, we can network at events. All events are great networking, right? But we're going to touch on a couple of things here today that can actually allow us to close more loans, not just network, right? So first off, let's talk about what we can do here. So obviously we can attend events. Now, my number one recommendation for attending events would be just using Eventbrite. Super easy. Type in, mortgage or real estate or realtors, and be able to pull up these different events. Most of you are in a, decently sized city or market where you'll probably have plenty of events to go to. So what type of events? Again, you can type these in, but definitely any events with realtors is going to help you actually close more loans, right? So I would still attend all of the mortgage events, all of the industry type events, but any event with realtors is definitely going to be a great target to actually equal closing more loans, because obviously the realtor can send you business immediately, and so that can actually put loans on the table there. Now, not only can we attend events, but we can also sponsor events, right? So at the Mortgage Calculator, we sponsor some events. You could individually sponsor events, whether that's getting a sponsor booth that you would most likely have to pay for. Some of them you can do some kind of in-kind deal, or maybe you provide some prizes or a giveaway or a raffle, but provide something of value, essentially. Sometimes that may just be providing, food and drinks or refreshments or whatever the situation may be. So not only would I sign up to attend all of the events that I'm seeing on Eventbrite, but I would always inquire about what can be done to be more involved, right? Now, again, you may not want to or, need to pay for some kind of $1,000, $2,000, $3,000, $4,000, $5,000 sponsor booth, but there's a lot of other ways, to get involved as well. Now, I do want to use a cool example here of like sponsoring an event, right? So Nick and I sponsored an event recently that was a golf tournament. So this is just an example, right? Obviously, we live in Florida, lots of golf tournaments going on. And so we sponsored a golf tournament where all we did was pay $180 for hole-in-one insurance, so that if somebody hit a hole-in-one on this hole, they got $25,000. Well, we didn't have to put up $25,000. All we had to do was buy the hole-in-one insurance for, $180, and they send us a sign with our logo on it with, the prizes that people can win and all that kind of good stuff. Now, of course, you can be there. Someone has to be there to, track everything, right? So not only should you be there, but also the people from, the golf club have to be there to witness it. But what better way to talk to potential clients, people that are usually golfing or usually homeowners or prospective homeowners. They're typically more homeowners than renters, right? People that are in a golf tournament. And you essentially have to speak to them to tell them the rules, right, of how this works and what it's sponsored by and what it is that you do. So that was a great opportunity. And again, just being more creative. We didn't have to buy a sponsor booth at some event. We didn't have to do anything crazy. All we did was pay $180. And the golf tournament, of course, was more than welcome to have us, because how cool is it that somebody can win $25,000 on one of their holes there? So very low expense there, very high return on being able to get in front of a lot of potential clients, and just being a little bit more creative and not having to pay a bunch of money. So that's just a quick example of a kind of creative way to do it. And then, of course, not only can we attend events and sponsor events, but we can host events. Now, hosting events is a little bit more difficult, right? When you do host an event, first of all, you need to figure out what is the purpose of the event and what is the benefit of the event to you. A lot of the times when people want to throw an event, they just kind of want the event, right? They want the people and the fun and that type of stuff, but they don't really sit down and think about what is the purpose of this and what is the benefit that I'm going to directly receive. Yes, it's always fun to talk to people, or network a little bit, but what is it that you're actually going to gain that's going to make sense for you to spend the time and money on planning an event, right? What's the purpose? What's the benefit? What type of venue is it? Do you have to pay for the venue? What type of promotion are you going to need to get actual people there? So you can host events, right? We host events like Real Estate Weekend Miami every year, but just understand that hosting events is so much more difficult. And not only is it more difficult, but it's very limited to your own network as opposed to tapping into other people's networks, right? When you're doing your own event, you're the one trying to promote it to the people that you already know or have came in contact with or are friends with on social media and all that kind of stuff. So it's really more so your network that already exists. When you tap into somebody else's event, whether it's just attending or sponsoring in some type of way, being involved in some type of way, you're tapping into a different network, right? So it's kind of two different things here. Are we tapping into the people's network who already set this all up, or are we more involved, but mainly tapping into the people that we already know or the acquaintances, right? So depending on what you're trying to get done, it's kind of, different ways to go there. Now, again, hosting events typically cost money. Hosting events is not easy to get people there. It's not going to do you any good if you're hosting an event and almost nobody comes. It's actually a worse look than just not doing the event at all, right? So be careful if you're talking about hosting events. It's great, but you need to know the purpose, know the exact benefit that you're going to get out of it that's going to offset the costs or the time or the resources that it takes to actually throw that event. Now, here is the last bullet point on this slide, which is how this all can come together to actually close more loans for you. Document your involvement in these events. What do I mean by that? I mean posting it on social media that you're attending and or that you're sponsoring, or obviously if you're hosting an event. This is what's going to help you not only kind of legitimize yourself there, but also get business from your already existing sphere. And this is what I mean. When your friends and family see that you're at all of these mortgage events or all of these real estate events, that you're sponsoring and involved in these events, maybe you're even throwing your own events, they're going to be thinking about you as a mortgage loan professional. They're going to feel that you're a experienced and legitimate loan officer, right? Because they see you, wow, Kyle's involved in all the events, always going to these events. Obviously, he's a mortgage expert. So as opposed to the stigma of people kind of saying, oh, Kyle just got into real estate a little bit ago. I'm not sure if I would want to use him. People have a stigma a little bit about people in their sphere, their friends, their family, thinking like, oh, I want to go like get a real loan officer. I don't, Kyle's just the guy that I know. I don't think that he's an expert at this. But if you're putting it out there that you're at all these events, you're sponsoring all these events, it's not only going to help legitimize you in front of people that you don't know, but it also legitimizes you in front of the people that you already know. And let me tell you, it's going to be easier to get a deal from the people you already know when they see that and feel confident that you would handle their loan properly because you're a professional and you know what you're doing. It's going to be easier to get deals from the people already existing in your sphere once they know that, as opposed to random people knowing that, right? And just getting kind of random people on social media. So this is a big one. That last bullet point kind of wraps it all together. So what is the biggest benefit out of going to all these different events is really that we can show that we're a professional and we can show that we know what we're doing. We can show that we are involved and active to not only new people and new potential clients, but our existing friends, family, and sphere, right? That's very important there. Now, when it comes to attending the events, we're going to talk about the type of events here now. So, event types here that we can, visit. Conferences and seminars, obviously, right? That's typically going to be a little more of a networking thing and maybe not talking to necessarily clients, but for example, realtors, the realtor conferences are great to go to. The NAR, National Association of Realtors, they have a calendar where they have all of their different events. If you go to one of their, real actual like year-end conferences, I mean, we're talking about like 10,000 realtors. We sponsored, was it a year ago or 2 years ago? We sponsored the one that came to Orlando. I believe there was over 5,000 realtors there just at that conference. So mortgage conferences, mortgage seminars, of course, Real Estate Weekend Miami, December 13th through 15th, down here in Miami that we do every year, but just any other conferences and seminars. And as far as generating business directly, a real estate one with realtors there is always going to be able to do that. Also, anything focused on investors, right? We focus so much on investors here at the Mortgage Calculator. For example, there's a DSCR conference coming to Miami here next week. That's a perfect one to go to because it's essentially targeting investors and flippers and people doing BRRRR. That's the target audience that they're selling passes to, right? So we want to definitely be there, but probably be a little bit more involved and actually be able to get business that way, right? Because realtors, we can get business from referrals, but these investors and flippers, these are people that can be our client immediately, right? Now, of course, always networking mixers. Now, there's a ton of these. I'm sure you'd all be very surprised when you put into Eventbrite or any type of event search system here that there are so many networking mixers. What I mean by that is, real estate happy hour or just any type of networking mixer where typically there's food, drinks. Typically, it's going to be a happy hour type situation, probably at 5, 6, 7 p.m. And there's tons of them, not only for real estate, but also just like business networking ones. So networking mixers are definitely something that you can visit and frequent and be able to meet people there. Now, the next thing on the bullet point here is workshops. These are very underutilized. So when I say workshops, what am I talking about here? I'm talking about, first-time home buyer workshops and seminars. We're talking about first-time investor type workshops. I mean, these are things that people are already putting on that we could come and be involved in. Now, we go back to what we were talking about in the last slide of trying to become some type of sponsor or partner or providing value. A lot of these first-time homebuyer workshops may just have, 10 people in a classroom type setting explaining to them how they can become a home buyer, typically going to be put on by a realtor or somebody in the real estate business. Now, I could get involved in one of these maybe as simply as just contacting the event coordinator, whoever's putting on the event, just ask if I can provide something. Hey, could I provide the donuts and coffee, right? Could I provide, food, drinks, whatever it may be, help with promotion? So, these are things that are much smaller that you wouldn't have to pay a bunch of money for, but you could still not only attend, but be some type of sponsor or partner in some way. There's a lot of them, but they're on a smaller scale. Now, the next thing I put here is open houses. So kind of borderline here, right? Kind of an event, kind of not. But again, bring something to the table. This is obviously something that you need to talk to a realtor about. Now, can you go house to house on a Sunday and just check out open houses and, kind of drop in and talk to the realtor and see if there's any way to, build that relationship? Well, of course you can. Of course, that's something you can do, going to individual open houses. But a great thing to do is be able to collaborate with the realtor and ask them if you can stay at that open house with them to talk to the potential clients who come in. This is, again, something where you can say, hey, let me bring coffee and donuts, or, I'm just using that as an example here, whatever it is you want to bring to the table. Remember, a realtor is typically sitting in that house for 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 hours. Typically, the houses are empty. There's no food or beverages or anything there. And so just something as simple as that of saying, hey, and typically you want to bring it for the clients too, right? Maybe you have some cookies out or something for the people who also come, the clients and the realtors, other realtors, buyer's agents, and things like that. So that's something very simple where you can just say, look, let me bring something to the table and let me hang out there all day. I'll keep you company and I'll bring something for you and I'll be able to help any potential clients. So the key with open houses, which is especially a big advantage that we have here at the Mortgage Calculator, is that you can quote the clients on their scenario right there. That's the key to this. The key to taking advantage of open houses when you work at the Mortgage Calculator is having your computer pulled up at that open house and be able to quote people on that exact scenario. You're talking to the realtor, the sales price, talking to the realtor about the, value, talking to the realtor about the taxes, the insurance. All this information is readily available to you so that the entire day you can have that pulled up right there and you can quote people. All you need from the client at that point is their estimated credit score, right? And then now you're sending the actual client an actual quote. Now they're in your system, right? And now you just got a potential client because you're showing them right there on the spot, hey, for this exact house with these exact taxes and insurance and everything here and your credit score that you're saying, this is the quote of what it would look like for you. Now, even if they already have a loan officer, that's definitely going to pique their interest. You're going to need to collect their email so that you can send them that quote, right? And so now, again, you have a potential client in your system. So if you are very interested in partnering with realtors, if you're very interested in spending, your Saturdays and Sundays actually going out there, meeting people, getting things done, I would really recommend that you reach out to realtors, see if you can provide something to be able to be at their open houses with them and let them know, hey, I can quote your clients instantly on this exact scenario so they can see what it looks like. I can also show people that may think that they can't afford the home. People are looking, maybe things that they can't necessarily afford. We can flip that and make them understand that, hey, we could do a bank statement program and you could afford this, right? We have all these different loan programs that not only can we show them what the rate would be on a conventional or FHA, VA, USDA, whatever it is that they're looking to do typically with a primary residence, We can talk to them about all of the non-QM programs, how to set things up. Us and the realtor can talk about maybe some potential seller credits to put the deal together to help cover the closing costs. Whatever the case may be, we're in there. We're a part of the transaction already. So definitely something valuable there at open houses, something valuable that you as a loan officer at the mortgage calculator definitely have an advantage of over somebody who's just sitting there and just telling them, oh yeah, I could probably get you like 5.9%, whatever. No, we have the system. Tell me your estimated credit score. I'm going to send you an exact quote for the exact rate right this second and the exact scenario. You'll be able to see what your exact payment would be if we did the loan for you today. And it's going to send them this quote really cool into their email. And then, of course, hopefully they proceed with the loan. So definitely take advantage of that. So in recap here for today, obviously we can attend the events, sponsor the events, or host events, but any way that we do it, we're going to be involved. And I would recommend that any events that you attend, contact the event organizer and see if there's some way you can get involved. Now, they may say you have to buy a $5,000 sponsor booth, and maybe that's not in the cards for you. But maybe they will say you can get involved in some other type of way, or again, just ask them if you can bring something to the table. So every single event that I would register for on Eventbrite or any other type of event website, and there's tons of events going on for free in every city, real estate events, right? But every single one, don't just register for a ticket, contact them to see if you can be involved. And you'll be surprised that a lot of them will let you be involved, even just saying, hey, I can help promote it here, here, and here. This is my social media reach. I would love to get involved and help you push this to more people, whatever the situation may be, right? And then again, biggest part about all of this, document it. Even with the open house here, document that you're at the open house, right? These are things where people are going to see it, especially people already in your sphere, and it's going to make you look more legitimate in their eyes. It's going to make you look more professional in their eyes. So whether it's attending different events, sponsoring the events, hosting your own events, or going to and participating in open houses, it's all going to make you look professional, make you look like you know what you're doing. And if you're a newer loan officer, it's going to actually help you know what you're doing, right? It's going to literally kind of come to fruition itself, right? Because not only are you going to look like you know what you're doing as a newer loan officer by attending all these events and being in all these places, you're going to actually learn along the way how to be a better, more legitimate loan officer as you go through here. So it kind of fulfills itself there. And so definitely important to do this. And again, I can't stress enough, the main point here for today is how do we turn going to events into actual closed loans? And that's one of the biggest ways, is use it to appeal to the people we already know and have a personal connection with, because it's so much easier to get business and get referrals from people we actually already know in real life than it is for random leads. So we want to take advantage of that. And one of the ways is to appear as a professional, like we know what we're doing, like we're involved in the industry, we're out and about, we're attending things, we're educating ourselves, and it's just really going to make a big difference. I promise you, it's going to make a huge difference in the amount of business that you can get from your sphere when you're really putting it out there every day. And one more tip real quick here, it's not necessarily an event, but always document your closings. Always ask your client, and hey, would it be okay if I posted a picture of you holding your keys in front of the house, or at the, usually like the title company will have like a cutout of a big key or something that they hold up, when people close their loans. Ask your client if it'd be okay to post that picture or a picture with them. That's even better if you can attend the closing in person. That's a huge deal too. So not an event, but it goes hand in hand with documenting your attendance and your involvement and the fact that you are an expert, because you're going to show them that you're actually out there, you're closing loans, you're helping people get homes. That's also going to make a big difference. All right, I don't see any questions, so I guess we can go ahead and wrap it up here. Remember, we do this 12 p.m. Eastern time every weekday where we go through the sales end of things. I appreciate everybody tuning in. We got some new great topics here for the rest of the week, so we will see everyone tomorrow, 12 p.m. Eastern, for the next episode of the Loan Officer Sales Training with the Mortgage